Welcome. You're watching Weekly World News on Spring Nectar TV, brought to you by Vibha Ramesh, Los Angeles, United States. First, the top headlines. GOP infrastructure deal on a timer. White House awaits counteroffers. India continues to break world record. Coronavirus does not discriminate. Youth getting infected too. The Greens are in the lead ahead of polls in Germany. Federal Court Australia questions India travel ban. Now for news in detail. Biden proposes a $2.25 trillion infrastructure plan as the clock ticks on. While he seeks Republican support, the White House awaits counteroffers. Sources say that if no progress is made by Memorial Day, officials will reevaluate their strategy. News has it that some Democrats are willing to go ahead with the deal, but Republicans are concerned about the scope of the package, as they have strategized a smaller package to the tune of $568 billion. They fear that the White House would provide impetus to narrower measures like bridges and roads and give up on crucial ones like elder care subsidies. Meanwhile, Georgia and Mississippi were on the radar as destructive tornadoes threatened to hit on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. To that effect, Georgia was hit by at least 6 tornadoes last Sunday, and the western suburbs of Atlanta were struck by a tornado about 11 a.m. on Monday, threatening the welfare of about 100 million Americans. The destruction continued into Tuesday, taking away 3 lives. Closing down of many fitness centers during the pandemic triggered a boost in the sale of Peloton treadmills across the nation. However, the fitness company has now recalled 2 of its most popular treadmills following the death of a child and several injuries. Further, Peloton tendered an apology for ignoring the public warning that was issued by federal safety officials last month. To this end, Peloton's chief executive said in a statement, "We should have engaged more productively with them from the outset. For that, I apologize." Moving on, India hit yet another world record on Saturday as the country reported over 400,000 new cases of coronavirus. The overwhelming burden on the healthcare system has moved hospitals to appeal for oxygen concentrators. This devastating resurgence of the virus reinforces the fact that despite increased vaccination rates, the virus is far from controlled. And this holds good for all the countries across the globe. Many countries have started sending aid to hospitals as vital medical supplies are on the decline owing to the sudden increase in demand. As a sign of the strengthening relationship between India and the United Kingdom, the latter announced the supply of 1,000 more ventilators to the worst-hit hospitals in India. Further, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his UK counterpart paved the path for bilateral ties in a virtual summit on Tuesday. Called the Roadmap 2030, talks encompassed vaccination collaboration, free trade agreement, and a migration accord. More on the reigning virus. Doctors are beginning to see a trend shift in the demography of people getting infected. To that end, more and more people in the young and middle-age group are being hospitalized for COVID treatment. While this may be evidence to prove that the elderly, who were the most affected last year, are now well protected through vaccination, it serves as a reminder that the youth will have to up their guard. Quoting the words of Dr. Vishnu Chundi, an infectious disease physician and chair of the Chicago Medical Society's COVID-19 task force, "We're now seeing people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, young people who are really sick. Most of them make it, but some do not. I just lost a 32-year-old with 2 children, so it's heartbreaking," he said. According to Judith Malmgren, an epidemiologist at the University of Washington, the rising infections among the younger generations may spill over into those communities that have not reached herd immunity. However, the upside is that the chance of dying from COVID in people below 50 years of age is rather less. Moving on, Germany's political landscape moves in favor of the Green Party as of Monday. According to the aggregate poll, the Greens are in the lead for the first time since 2019, putting the ruling Christian Democratic Union behind. With the upcoming elections in September, polls suggest that 16 years later of conservatives' rule, Germany may see a change in the ruling party as 6 out of 10 polls show an advantage for the Greens with a 3-point lead. Following a meticulously conducted investigation, one of the largest websites for child sexual abuse images was busted by German police. The online platform, functional under the name of the Boys Town platform, had over 400,000 subscribers and was active for almost 2 years. The detailed investigation led to the arrest of 4 German men and the raid of 7 properties linked to that site. Besides handling the technicalities and administration of the site, the men were known to provide its users advice on how to avoid police detection while surfing on the platform. The ban called for by the Australian government that prohibits Australians from returning from India has raised concerns with the United Nations human rights officials. The temporary measure is not aligned with Australia's human rights obligations and can attract penalties of 5 years imprisonment or $66,000. In the words of a spokesperson for the office, we have serious concerns about whether the biosecurity determination and the severe penalties which can be imposed for its breach meets Australia's human rights obligations. The measure is now scheduled to be reconsidered on 15th May. Colombia is raging under the impact of the anti-government demonstrations that continued for yet another week. It all started as a simple strike over an unwelcome tax reform which escalated beyond control in the light of the pandemic and the authorities' awkward response to the protests. Demonstrators have continued the protests even though 23 protesters and a police officer were killed during the unrest. And on Tuesday night, protesters damaged at least 25 police kiosks and injured 5 officers. Commenting on the dire state of unrest, columnist Jorge Galindo tweeted, "We must de-escalate. Seriously, nothing else matters now." Canada became the first nation to authorize the use of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine in children aged 12 to 15. This could be the light at the end of the tunnel. The announcement came after a senior advisor at the Canadian Federal Health Ministry certified on Wednesday that Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine was safe and effective in the younger age group. Starting May 10, everyone aged 12 and above will be eligible for COVID-19 vaccine in Alberta, said the Premier, Jason Kenney. Over to this week's snippet on the environment. A well-researched and promising method to minimize the production and use of hydrofluorocarbons is underway. To this effect, the Environmental Protection Agency is suppressing the use of a specific class of greenhouse gases most commonly used in refrigerators and air conditioners. The move is expected to dramatically reduce HFCs over the next 15 years. This would also be the first regulatory step taken by the Biden administration to address planet warming emissions. With that, we come to the end of this news report. I'll see you again next Friday with more world news on SpringNectar TV. Thank you for watching.